They were sweeping the floor, rolling around, eating bugs and stuff. Pretty much my little vacuum cleaners. All right, another day, another fun project. One project I've been putting off for a while, and that is the shop. This place is a mess. I got stuff everywhere. I got my helpers out here today. You guys are gonna be sweeping after I get all the stuff moved? Yeah, you're gonna be sweeping? Cool. I need to get this International in a point where I can pivot it this way to where we can pull the motor and trans that's in it out. It's got a mock-up 5.3 and NV4500 in it. I have a new rebuilt NV4500 there and a freshly rebuilt 6-liter here. This is what I've been working on after work every day. I also have some steering stuff for it, and I also have the rear end stuff ready to go in for it. But the shop's a mess. I can't walk through here, and I'm having a birthday party / truck party next weekend to get this thing in that thing. So I've got to get this place cleaned up so we can use it. Been putting it off for a while, mainly just because I've been super busy working on that Raptor, but the Raptor is done. It is leaving for Mexico today, and it's out of my hands for at least 2 weeks. So yeah, it's international time, and I'll do more of a walk around once I get this thing out of this god-awful mess. So we'll get it all cleaned up. It'll just be a big time lapse, nothing crazy, so it'll be fun. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Shop's clean. There was a pot, like a stove pot on the back of the International. It was so dirty in here. Even found another project that was back in the back corner that maybe I'll start after this one's out of here. I don't know. We'll see. This is the next project. What are we doing with it? Putting it together. My 1950 International L130. It was originally a dump truck that a buddy of mine's grandfather owned. I was lucky enough to snag it off of him. They originally thought that the motor was locked up on it, and so I bought it. Turned out that there was a mouse nest in the clutch that was keeping the motor from turning. So about an hour and a half after I got off the trailer down here in Texas, it was running. So the truck ran in its original form. The only problem was it had a unsynchronized 3-speed transmission. What does that mean, Christina?
It wasn't synced together.
Exactly. It was hard to shift. So it was hard to shift. It topped out at like 35 miles an hour. So I couldn't even leave my neighborhood and hit the speed limit. Like it was built different.
I'm built different.
I really loved it. The hydraulic dump bed worked and everything like that. I have pictures and videos of this thing when I got it. It just wasn't useful for me in the state that it was in. So I turned a running truck into a not running truck.
Oh, there's a big surprise.
State that it's in right now. It is on a 1985 C30 chassis. I originally wanted the rear axle out of a cab chassis pickup just because it does have a narrower track width, and this being a 50s truck, it was pretty narrow to begin with. And when I went to go pick up the axle, it was under this chassis, and so I offered to buy the chassis, and I got the whole thing. So we dropped the cab onto the 85 chassis. It does have a 5.3 with an NV4500 in it now for mock-up. I just got done building. I guess we can walk over here. 6-liter for it, and I have a rebuilt NV4500 ready to go in it. These will be going in next weekend, hopefully. I wanted to repurpose this from a dump truck into a flatbed so I could have a vehicle that could tow my red Suburban. So, and I don't really have anything. I got a half-ton pickup, so it'll be nice to be able to heavy haul some stuff. But the truck was in really good shape. It came from Wisconsin. There's a few rust holes here and there. The cab was actually sagging. The floorboard was cracked so bad behind the seat that the back of the cab was sagging 2 inches. So that was like the first thing I fixed on it. Other than that, I did a lot of work on it just to get this cab onto this chassis, and then it's kind of sat while I did some other projects. So, but now it's time to finish it once and for all, sooner or later. We're going to have the powertrain in next weekend, hopefully get the rear end buttoned up next weekend, and get the steering column in next weekend, and then do a bunch of other stuff next weekend. So it'll be running next weekend. Maybe a few weeks after that. So now the goal is to have this thing running by the 4th of July. Wood flatbed. It will have skirted sides with probably a 48-inch toolbox and a 24-inch toolbox on the back. Full skirts. I do want to put... We'll have a gooseneck with airbags probably in the center. I don't know what I'm going to do with the front yet. I don't want to do a big bulky headache rack just because I don't think it looked right on there. Leaving the busted windows, though. Those have stories. I've been told on 2 separate occasions that grandkids and nieces and nephews throwing wood into the back that broke that glass. So, got to keep that. So, it's got a 4-inch drop from Western Chassis. That is shackles and hangers. Pretty much it. I'm rocking stock length Bilsteins. I had a buddy of mine cut out some awesome shock extensions that are the beefiest shock extensions known to man. I wanted to try to keep this truck as easy to replace parts as possible. Go down to the parts store and just get replacement shocks, get replacement brakes. Like, I don't want to have to call up a company and say, hey, my shocks went out. And they're like, oh, sorry, those are discontinued. They don't make that kit no more. So I want to keep everything kind of stock or stock parts-ish. Rear end, cab chassis, full float 14 bolt. The only thing I've done is drop brackets for the shocks. I also did a disc brake conversion on the back. And I tell you what, public service announcement. If you have a cab chassis axle in your square body Chevy and you want to do disc brake conversions, I highly suggest you don't. It was nothing but a nightmare. It did not bolt up. These things were supposedly made for cab chassis 14 bolt dually setups. And I tell you what, they're not. I had to re-drill holes. I mean, you could probably get away with weld-on ones, but I bought this kit expecting it to bolt right up because it was made for full float cab chassis 14 bolt running dually wheels. Because a lot of them say you can't run dualies, you got to run single rear wheels, all this fun jazz. But these ones said they worked with a dual rear wheel setup. That means 2 llantas, okay? 2 tires. I even emailed them and asked them if it would work with 2, not 1, but 2 tires per side. And they said, yep, it'll work. And guess what? It did not. So, not going to name names because I'm not that kind of person, but just don't do it. Keep the drums. This was such a nightmare headache. And yeah, that took up way more time than it should have. So, but I do have disc brakes on the back now, so that's pretty cool. So I got disc brakes on the back, disc brakes on the front, disc brakes all around. Now I just have to set up the rear end, which I got all the gears and stuff. It's going to still be stock gears. I just did a rebuild kit on it, so I just got to slap those back in and set them up. I am running a Blazer tank, 30-gallon Blazer tank on the back. I might switch it to a 40-gallon tank just because this is probably not going to be a fuel-efficient vehicle. The front suspension is all stock. I just cut the coil to drop it down a little bit. Super fancy front suspension. Pretty much it for now. So started the exhaust, started the rear axle, started the cab, started the engine, started a little bit of everything. So I'm hoping to quit starting stuff and finish some stuff. So that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I guess let's look at the cat inside. There's not like a whole lot of stuff in here. There's just some stuff in here. I got my steering column. I got my forever sharp steering wheel. That's like gonna be the fanciest thing on the truck is the steering wheel. And yes, I'm gonna leave the 36-inch solid round aluminum bar as my shifter. That way I can get stabbed in the face when I'm shifting into second and I get in an accident. No, that's there for... I needed to get the steering column so I could bend the shifter up where I'm going to use it. So that's hopefully another thing we'll get done. It'll be nice to get this thing out of this little shop and build a big flatbed for it and actually use it. Hear it run again. That'd be cool. It's only been like 3 years. 3 years since it ran. I want to think about it like that. I took a perfectly good running and driving truck. Except for it sounded like an 18-wheeler when I drove it through the neighborhood. They loved it. Because it's like a tractor. Basically a tractor. And it didn't have a muffler. It had like plumbing pipe that went under the cab and echoed off the ground. And when you dumped the bed, you had to rev it up so it was even louder. Neighbors loved me. Well, actually, one neighbor loved it. They thought it was the coolest thing ever. The other guy next to me, not a fan. So, but that's pretty much where it's sitting right now. So next weekend we'll get the powertrain in, get some other oddball stuff done on it. And then, 4th of July, we're running. We're running on 4th of July. That's the goal. Running on 4th of July, driving this fall. I have a bunch of people over to help me work on this thing.
Birthday.
It's my birthday on the eclipse day. So instead of that, we're having a truck party the following weekend. So we'll see. If everybody's feeling it, we'll be swinging the camera around. If not, I will hide the camera and watch everybody all day long working on my vehicle for me. So that'll be fun. So next time you guys see this, that motor will be in the place of that motor, and that transmission will be in the place of the transmission over there. It'll have a steering wheel. It might not turn the wheels yet, and hopefully a rear end that does rear end stuff. So that's it for this episode. Until next time, we'll see you later. There you go. That's like soup. I bet that was really loud. And he doesn't like the broom at all.